All right, welcome to my rehearsal for my Dreamforce 2018 presentation. I am one half of the presenter for Get a 360-degree view with Nonprofit Cloud. Street Youth Ministry is a day center for homeless young adults in Austin, Texas. We serve 80 homeless young adults every week. The average age is 24, and a third are women. We are small, operating on a budget of $350,000 a year, and we have a staff of 4.5 full-time equivalents. In 2017, we served 451 people. We first provide them with physical relief, things like food, clothing, self-care items, but we move as they engage to providing renewed hope. We work on small steps, we are flexible, and we encourage our clients, empower our clients to believe in themselves. Of the 38, 70% make these types of small improvements. Of the 38 clients fully participating in the last 2 weeks, only 7 are not achieving change. Of the 19 not yet fully participating, only 9 are seeing change so far. It takes a village to support homeless young adults. We see 20 people every day with our 3 staff members who are working that day. It takes 8 volunteers every single day to keep us running. It takes 3 donors every day to write checks, and we have 30 prayer team members. In addition to that, we have about 126 people who are active as advocates, reading and interacting with content. This is each day and every day. We could not do this without the Nonprofit Cloud. We began using NPSP in 2013. Things were breaking at that time. We had 4 years of data. We had grown a little bit. We had at least started out in the cloud. We had spreadsheets, but things were breaking. The spreadsheets were unstable. We began to send out incorrect information to supporters. We were in trouble. We had no IT budget. We had exactly 1 user who was also the admin, who was myself. Really the only thing we had going for us at that moment was we were a tech adept. Fortunately, I learned about the Nonprofit Success Pack, and we adopted it and imported our data in 2013. 2,000 contacts, 1,000 gifts, 2,000 volunteer actions. And here's where we are today. We have 10,000 contacts, 4 times what we had 5 years ago. We have 5,000 donors, 5 times what we had 5 years ago. And incredibly, we have 63,000 acts of volunteerism, 30 times more than we had 5 years ago. And that just scratches the surface, but it tells you that we are not concerned about scaling. While we are small, we have grown a tremendous amount. And in fact, in the second half of this presentation, you're going to learn about an organization that is even much larger and still uses the same Nonprofit Success Pack. So what do you do as you grow? Originally, in 2013, I probably knew every one of our contacts, but that is impossible today. So how do we categorize our contacts? We needed something that wasn't based on my memory. We needed something that wasn't a manual pick list. We wanted to use our data that we have in Salesforce. We wanted to be automatic, and we wanted it to continue to grow with us in the next 10 years. So we adopted a principle of allowing the data to sort itself. We're going to use this picture to illustrate. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to start with this top urn, and that's going to represent all of our contacts, and we're going to pour them through into the first basin that's going to act as a sieve to find all of the people who receive services from us, direct services. Those are our clients. Everyone else is going to pour out of that basin and flow into the next one. And basin is going to act as a sieve to collect all the people who are donors, but of course not clients. And anyone who's not caught by that basin is going to flow out into basin number 3, where we're going to configure it to catch volunteers. And anyone who's not a volunteer will flow out into a basin of people we call suppliers. And then finally, we will catch anyone who's not any one of those 4 things into one last basin, which is kind of none of the above. So let me show you how that works. Here actually is a result right off our dashboard in Salesforce. We have 1,367 clients out of our 7,000 contacts. Basin number 2 has 858 donors. Basin number 3 is actually broken into 3 sub-basins for our convenience, but you can see that it has about 3,200 people in it. 3,200 people who represent volunteers. And then the 4th basin has 2,300 people in it. And then we have the not any of the above. Again, we've sort of broken it into 3 basins for our purposes, but you can see that it contains about 2,200 people. And so we began to classify our people and consider what it takes to serve each basin well, and what it takes perhaps to move people from a lower level basin upwards to a higher level basin. In addition, we can sort of gaze into the basin and stratify context within that. So for example, here are the 1,367 clients, but we are highlighting 21 of them are now volunteers, signing up on our website and coming in and giving time back. And 16, incredibly, are donors to our organization. So we can begin to look more deeply into each basin. Here's a view into our donors. 858 are donors, but 321 are also volunteering. So that gives us some indication that they might be more sticky. So we can look for other ways to help the 527 who are not volunteering grow closer to us, for example. How do we do that? I'm not going to step through all those details, but it is just a report and dashboard setup. You need 1 report per basin, and then you need 1 dashboard to summarize it. For your first basin report, use filters and cross filters to find the contacts, in our case, that have associated or related contact records. And then we group those records by the ways we want to break them down, in this case, whether they were donors or volunteers. The second basin report is independent, and it starts with those same filters and cross filters that we used for our first report, but they're negated. And then we add the filter to match people who are not clients but have donor related records. And the third basin continues in that way and all the way to the end. And then you build a dashboard to summarize it. In this case, we used a lightning metric for each report. And then we added a horizontal bar chart lightning component next to it in order to look into the details of each basin. So that gives you some idea how we handle the high level strategy, but details matter. When we look at any particular record, we need to know exactly what they are if this classification system is going to help us. And so lightning page layouts are great here. Here is an example of an account and this particular account is being highlighted by a rich text component at the top that tells us it's a VIP account. That is a conditional element that is looking at criteria of how much money might this account be generating, or how many affiliated contacts with volunteer hours might it have. So we have multiple ways of identifying VIP, and it's automatically doing that and showing us that. Then we have an embedded chart component on the right here, and it's telling us in this particular case the amount of money this account has donated by year. So you can see that this account has a long giving history, but they've really come alive for us in the last 4 years. And then lastly, we have a highlights pin on each component. I'll zoom into that so you can see a little bit better. It reads a little bit like this. This is the Mission Committee of Covenant Presbyterian Church, and they have a website if we'd like to look more. They're in Austin, Texas. They have 9 affiliated contacts. They have an annual giving power of $22,000. Their last gift date was January of 2018. Their best gift year was, in fact, 2015, and we have awarded them 9 donor stars. This is implemented with, admittedly, a somewhat long formula field that concatenates fields together that are available on our account. Some are standard fields and some are customized, but we display them all together in this sort of easy to read format. Here's another example on a contact. Terry Cole, that would be me, is a volunteer, having volunteered 105 times, most recently on August of 2018. He gave $6,333 in the last 365 days. We have asked him everything, so the next ask is something else. He's affiliated with a number of organizations, including our Austin Nonprofit User Group, a church, Salesforce Saturday. He's part of Street Youth Ministry, of course. He graduated from a couple of universities, and not shown are the people he is related to. All of that is highlighted right at the very top by our formula field and our highlights panel. So you get an idea that we have a lot of command of the detail when we interact with a client and we interact with a contact. And we don't have to spend a lot of time sorting that out. Now, we also have some analytics to help us know how we're doing in the fundraising area. NPSP provides a whole bunch of pre-configured rollups, and we can now do a whole lot of custom rollups. But we found we had to do a tiny bit more work in the formula field area to unleash that data fully for us. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but you've already seen them. We have this concept of how much does an account give on average every year. And that can be applied to an organizational account or a household account. And I'm not going to go into the details of the formula fields, but they are described on my blog, mightyforce.org, under an article called Automatic Donor Statistics. We do not update these. They are calculated every night. When the NPSP does its roll-up, those formula fields update, and we learn what the annual account giving power is. We learn when the donor might become not current based on what we see today in their giving pattern. We learn how many years they have given. We classify them based on their donor frequency. And all of that is automatic and available at the fingertips. It allows us to do things like know how many household accounts are current, meaning they have a giving pattern and they're still keeping that giving pattern, and how much annual donation giving power that adds up to. In this case, $121,000 of giving power is coming predictably from our household accounts. So that's fully 1/3 of our budget. And assuming we know where the other 2/3 is coming from, we're doing very well. So if you would like to learn more about how we have harnessed the roll-up summary fields with a little bit of customization, you can go to my blog, mightyforce.org, and read more about it. If you're just getting started, you can also find there on that blog links to a webinar I did with Salesforce about getting started, some of my past Dreamforce presentations, and webinars on reporting. And hopefully that will inspire you. Now, it is my, people always ask what's next. We are currently beginning to leverage cases. We are currently beginning to actually use leads for cultivation of new contacts. We have begun to use these basins to help us remarket to existing contacts to either reopen or deepen our relationship with those individuals. And we are looking into the application of communities to simplify our web and bring even more custom contact to our constituents based on the type and classification of our contacts. So thank you very much. It is my privilege now to introduce my co-presenters from TICO. They are an exciting, wonderful nonprofit that is getting a lot of good out of the Nonprofit Success Pack and Nonprofit Cloud. And they are much larger than Street Youth Ministry. And so I am proud to turn the stage over to them. Thank you.